Hi, it's Trevor Cutmore. It's Monday and it's time for my next video. But I want to start by asking you a question. Wherever you are on your property journey, what is the biggest issue, barrier or problem that you are facing right now? Now, please put your questions down. You can do it on here on YouTube or on my Facebook. Come on Facebook and send me, if it's personal, send it by messenger. But I'd love to be able to, understand where the audience is, and so I can start to answer those questions and be a real help to you. And I think that's, one of the most important things to me. So look, I have been approached by a few people. Some people have said, could I do a program where I'm cooking, because I was a chef for 25 years, and maybe I will do a little bit of cooking and talking about property at some time. All right, leave that one with me. But there are some interesting things that I'm being asked. One in particular has come up a few times. And so today, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about my journey and when I started and some of the issues that I faced and how I overcame them. And really a couple of valuable lessons that if I had known beforehand, it would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of pain. So sometimes it's good to go back, and so you can help other people come forward. So let's start. Look, I was a chef for 25 years, cooking for the rich and famous in London, in Mayfair, Knightsbridge, and out in Italy. And I have a passion for cooking. I love helping people. I love serving people. And it's something that I've always loved. I'm very creative. I would create food. I don't really follow recipes. I look at something, see what I've got in the fridge, and I make it. And my wife's got some funny stories about that. One day I came home, asked her if she wanted pasta. She said no. I opened the fridge, whatever's there, I made something, and she tried it. She said, "Oh, Trevor, that's gorgeous." And the next day I was coming home and she rang me on my phone. She said, "Trevor, can you tell me how to do that?" And I told her step by step of how to do it. And she made it, and I came home and she said, "Yes, it's there." She said, "But you might want to put some tomato ketchup on it because it was so bad." And it really was. But what did I learn from that? I learned sometimes you can understand the process, but it's about how you do it, the right timings, etc., etc. And there's no difference in property. There really isn't. So the lessons that I learned in chefing, in catering, dealing with people, the chronological way of preparing a dish, in ordering, the planning stage, the preparation. I took all of that and brought it into property. Many people, when they come into property, and I mentor people who are doctors, who are accountants, IT specialists, and the like, opticians, pharmacists, all these people. They tend to come in and think they've got to learn something with a blank slate. You haven't. There's so many skills that you have in your current occupation that are transferable. You've got to understand is what are they and what can I bring across? And that's a powerful thing. I wish, I fell into that and I recognized very quickly, but I didn't realize that that was a skill until I saw so many people trying to reinvent the wheel. And instead of using talents that they already had. So look, I did chefing for 25 years. As I said, cook for the rich and famous. I used to get quite upset that these overprivileged people, many of them, certainly very wealthy people, would come in, spend a fortune on meals and drinks and drugs, and that they'd go out and they just wouldn't appreciate the hard work that we would do. And after 25 years, I actually left and I took a 2/3 salary cut, went down to do community development work. I knew nothing about it. I went into a training course to run at the University of Bradford for 3 days. It was about running a community development project, on running it with European social funded money. And so you had to do that the proper way. And again, it was all about planning stage, about regulations and all these things. Again, what did I learn? I learned to ask the right questions. So I can tell you straight away that on day one in the morning, the tutor said to everyone, and then this is for SMEs. And I put my hand up and it said, "Excuse me, can you tell me what an SME is?" And everyone laughed at me. So, I dealt with bullies all my life, and that's another story. But I stood up and I said, guys, look, you can laugh at me for all 3 days, but before I leave, I'm going to understand everything that I'm learning. So another key tip is, if you're not sure, ask. Don't be ashamed, but ask. Don't be worried if you look silly. You learn. It's about you going forward, not making mistakes. So ask those questions, even though people may laugh at you. There's no stupid question to ask. You need to get the answers. And I love that. I think there's a phrase that asking questions is the most powerful way to grow. And I think that is very, very true. And that's how I've learned, and doing, obviously. Now, I did that, and I also found out that I had a gift for connecting with people. There's no doubt. I'm a people person. I laugh a lot. You know that I laugh on here sometimes. And when I'm doing private webinars and things like this, I'm always laughing. I find humor just about everywhere. I really do. But and that's something, when I go out to agents, direct to vendor, humor is an important part of me connecting. Why? Because defenses come down when you make people laugh, when you can make, not being rude or anything like that, but it is about connecting with someone at different levels. And if you can connect with some humor, I think it's very, very powerful. And I think that's a great lesson that I learned. So the community development work was very much, I went out into the community. I helped reduce youth crime by 85% in 2.5 years. I did this for 10 years, set up a youth centre. I set up 2 conference centres where we ran loads of courses, an IT suite, a debt counselling centre. I did intergenerational projects, a lot of youth projects. I funded taking a lot of kids around the UK, around the country, to educate them, such as in Canterbury Tales, Stratford-upon-Avon, looking at Shakespeare's history and all these things. In London, went to all different things, and giving the experience to taste different cultures, but also said, look, if you can raise your heights on what you want to achieve in life, then it gives you a stronger goal and stronger motive to work hard to achieve what you want to taste and enjoy. So these are all important lessons that I learned. But this is the reason I went into property. When I was doing community work, I very much was, I did all of the bid writing to get the money in so we could employ other people, youth workers, debt counsellor, other people in the charity to do things. Now, I did all that bid writing myself, although I'm not great in English grammar, but it didn't matter because my wife was doing a lot of proofreading for me. And again, you leverage people for your weaknesses. Would I go back and learn English in my grammar? Why? I probably won't pick it up as well as when I was younger, so I leverage other people to do, to be my strength in my own weaknesses. And again, that's something very important on my property journey. There's certain things I don't want to know. I want to leverage other people's expertise in that way so I can be productive. My strength is put me in front of people. I can negotiate very well. I can see a project and I can see if I can knock that building down and make 10 flats, if I can build so many things or create an option agreement, whatever. I see many different things when I see property. I only see potential. So as I was doing this work, as community work, and doing all the funding, eventually, where there was problems and the funders were very kind to give us that money, you couldn't get, or it's very hard to get continuational funding. So because of that, I went into property so we could raise money so we could continue that work. And that was the motive to go forward. Now, 12.5 years ago or 13 years ago, my wife at 46 fell pregnant. So, hey, when you still got it, you got it, okay? But that changed my life. So we have 3 grown-up sons, beautiful sons. Australia, Costa Rica, and Germany is where they are, all very successful in what they do. And then we've got my beautiful daughter, Joy. And she's 12, going on 25. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But my life changed. And now I'm just building wealth and growing, helping other people on that journey with the training that I do, especially with Leslie Tao at Cashflow-Freedom. And we do training every month to help people in lease options, in buy, refurb, refinance, touching development, in rent to rent and rent to service accommodation. If that's something you're interested in, please contact me and we can send you details. But look, again, I don't want to go on too long. When I started in property, and the next probably couple of weeks, I'm going to give you a little bit more about the barriers and obstacles that I learned to overcome. I can tell you that the very first properties that I bought, well, let's go back 2004. I actually bought a large RAF building. There was an apartment on top which hadn't been lived in for 30 years, so I spent a lot of time. I did that. I took the windows out, replaced the sashes, I rubbed down all of the windows, replaced the panes, reputted everything. It was crazy. Did a lot of the work, tiled the bathroom, helped put in the kitchen. I did a lot of manual work, so I understood how to do refurbs. I really do. And I wanted to turn that into 10 flats. Now, I made a classic mistake. With hindsight, it's very powerful. I really didn't know what I was doing. I had no education in property. I just thought it was a good idea. But I invoked the help of an architect who was really coming down to retire in his career. He wasn't the best or the right person to help me to get that plan over the line. I think with the right architect and the right team, I would have been successful in getting 10 flats, and I think my life would have been very different from 2004. However, in 2007, a friend of mine, and a very close friend of mine, we got together and he said, look, Trevor, there are these houses in Cornwall. It looks fantastic, guaranteed buyback in 3 years, guaranteed rent for 3 years, and our buyback would make a profit of £25,000 on each property. It's a no-brainer. So we didn't even go and see those properties. We didn't. I know, big slap, I take it, I get it. And how stupid was I? Very stupid. We bought 2 each. And I can tell you within less than 6 months, we were down at Bodmin Court going for the guy who gave us the guaranteed rent, wasn't paying us. And on top of that, we paid £125,000 for each property. And I can tell you that 6 weeks before, one of the properties was sold for £62,000, and I've still got an ongoing argument with the bank because they're taking no liability that they used their surveyor to value it. It's an interesting one. We continue, but those properties were negative equity cost a fortune every year to run. But again, pain is a stronger motivator than pleasure, and if it wasn't for those 2 properties, I would not be here now successful in property. Why? Because I had to get on and do it, and that is where I started to do options. I'm going to carry on this next week. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave your comment. It's a little bit different, but I've been asked to give you a little bit of my story to encourage many of you who are starting on your journey, and to help you overcome those obstacles, barriers, mental blocks, whatever it is. Please drop it down. Facebook, on here. Please share this video. Subscribe. Please click subscribe and make your comments. I wish you every success in your property journey. I believe in education. If we can help you, please drop me an email and I'll send you details. Have a wonderful week. Thank you. Bye-bye.